Hi everybody, this is Janice. I'm a Quiet Healer, and today we're going to be discussing remote or distant healing versus in-person healing and the differences and the similarities. So I have Allison with me. She has done both remote and in-person. She's going to discuss the experience for both of them.
Yeah, so I had never done anything like this previously, so both were new experiences for me, doing remote and in-person. So I went in with no expectations and got a lot out of both the remote session and now the in-person session. I think the biggest difference was the in-person one had a stronger feeling, a stronger sensation to it rather than the remote. But even still, the remote, I was
You were surprised.
I was pleasantly surprised, yes, that I still got so much out of the remote session. Because I could still feel you even though we weren't in the same room. I could still feel where your hands would be if we were in person.
Now, the intensity of the in-person, what made it more intense than, say, the remote session?
I don't know if this is weird, but it felt warmer.
Yes.
It felt warmer, so the remote session, I still felt warm spots while you were doing the session, and then the in-person one, the warm sensation was just so much stronger, and when you touched like that spot on my back that was really tense, it like just melted almost as soon as you touched it. It just melted.
Now, do you feel that even though you had your remote session first and your in-person second, that it would deter you? Obviously, you would probably prefer the in-person, but would it deter you from doing a remote session ever again?
Absolutely not. So I would still do the remote session. You still get a lot out of it. I still got a lot out of it, even though I didn't know what to expect. So even now doing the in-person, I would course prefer in person, but even the virtual healing was incredible.
And now, say you have family out of, well, not out of state, but upstate, because we are here on lovely Long Island.
Yes.
Is this something that you would recommend to people upstate or out of state?
Yeah, I think that no matter where you are, you can still get a lot out of what you have to offer and how you do it. Even completely virtual and being across the state, I don't think it would make a big difference. I think anyone could benefit from it.
Now, being this is your first experiences with Reiki, and you, thank you for coming in with no expectations, because that's awesome. Were you in any way apprehensive or not sure a remote session would work? Be honest.
A little bit.
Okay.
I was curious on if it would be the same kind of sensation, feeling, the same kind of things that you would get out of it being remote versus in person. So I was, I guess, a little maybe skeptical, apprehensive with the remote session, and then after the fact, all of that was just blown out of the water.
So did you come into your remote session a little skeptical, thinking that Reiki wouldn't work or not work, or was it just the remote portion of it?
The skepticism came mostly from it being remote. The Reiki portion I did not have any doubts about. It was just the remote factor on how could this work when you're not in the same room as the person doing it. And somehow it did. So after the fact, all of those doubts were just completely shattered in my mind, and I would never doubt it again.
Now, what if somebody said, well, I'm upstate or I'm in Florida. This is, honestly, come on. Does this work? What would be your highest recommendation?
So it 100% absolutely works remotely. It very clearly does not matter where you are, across the state, in a different state. Somehow it works. The spiritual world just all falls together, and it doesn't make a difference if you're in the same room as long as you can have those no expectations, have a clear mind, and just let it go and let what's going to happen happen.
Now, you're giving your preference would most likely be in person over the remote, but knowing that remote works, so if there's like a snowstorm, you would never have to cancel your appointment.
Yeah.
What was your biggest takeaway and your biggest surprise?
I think they're both kind of the same thing. So at the end of both the remote session and the in-person session, I felt just lighter. And I think I was more surprised after the remote session on how relaxed and light I felt. Like I said, everything just kind of melted. So I think that was my biggest surprise on how, I don't know what I'm looking for.
How well it works.
Yeah. So, because I had never done it before, so being shown how well that it works was a pleasant surprise, a happy surprise, and my biggest takeaway is just how great you feel after the fact. I would start my morning with this every day.
And what is your recommendation to people who might be skeptical about Reiki in general? Not just remote Reiki, but Reiki in general.
In general, I mean, honestly, just give it a shot. The best that's going to happen is it's going to be an amazing thing. You're going to want to continue doing it, and you're going to get a lot out of the session. The worst that's going to happen is you had a very relaxing hour. So
either way, you're going to be relaxed.
You're going to be relaxed, and you're going to have a good hour. So whoever you are, if you are on the fence about it, I would say just give it a shot. At least you'll be relaxed.
Thank you, Allison.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. And I'm glad that she was able to experience both and discuss both of them with us today. And I look forward to seeing you in person or remotely again.
Me too.
And moving forward, and just know that Reiki is a very excellent way to relax and start your day.
Absolutely.